In this video, we'll be looking at the mole concept of substance of known masses. In case you have not understood what mole is, you need to go back to our previous video where we did mole, or the introduction to mole concept under stoichiometry. Now we want to look at the mole concept of substance of known masses. Now in this class, we need to know that the number of mole of a substance is equals to the mass of that substance over the molar mass of the substance. Number of mole is simply the mass of the substance over the molar mass of the substance, which is number of mole is equals to small letter mass divided by capital letter mass. Let's say we have a question. How many moles are in 40 gram of sodium? How many moles are in 40 gram of sodium? Now, to answer that question, you need to understand the concept. The concept says that this is the mole concept for substance of known masses. If you apply this formula, definitely you will get the answer. Number of mole is simply mass over molar mass. The mass of the substance is 40 gram. All right? Now, but the molar mass of sodium is going to be gotten from the periodic table. The molar mass of sodium is 22.22299 something. Now, but I want to have a whole number. So I will represent the molar mass of sodium as 23. Molar mass, atomic weight is the same thing, but they are not the same with mass number. There's a difference between mass number and molar mass or atomic weight. We have did a video on that. You can check that in our channel. All right. We now look at the molar mass of sodium is 23 gram per mole. Recall that the mass is measured in gram and mole is measured in gram per mole, so that when you divide, you're going to have the unit mole. So what I will do is 40 divided by 23. 40 divided by 23, 40 into 23, that will give me 1.739. Okay, let's make it 1.74 mole. So that's the answer, the number of moles that is in 40 gram of sodium. All right, let's say another question. What is the amount of moles of calcium? What's the amount of moles of calcium in 60 gram of calcium? What's the amount of mole of calcium in 60 gram of calcium? You don't need to be afraid. No matter how they put the question, understand the concept of that question and you'll be able to answer it. Now, it's the same formula you're going to use anyhow. Number of mole is still mass over molar mass. Now, the mass of this guy over there is 60 gram. Then the molar mass of calcium is 40 gram per mole. And this 40 gram per mole is gotten from the periodic table. It's constant. Molar mass of calcium, a single calcium is 40 gram per mole. Now, if you do the division, what you're going to be having now is 60 divided by 40, 1.5 mole. So I have 1.5 mole. Now, let's say that the mass is giving you, the molar mass is giving you. The molar mass is 23 gram per mole. And then the number of mole is 1.74 mole. And then you're asked to find the mass. All right? You're asked to find the mass of the substance. The mass is unknown. So mass is X. What do we do in this form? Now let me clean up the board so that we can solve the problem. The solution to this problem will be, so let's use this ink. The solution will become number of mole is equals to small mass, that is the mass of the substance, divided by the molar mass. Now, what am I looking for? I'm looking for the mass. I'm going to make it the subject of the formula. What I will do is that if I cross multiply the mass will become molar mass times by the number of mole. And what is the mass there? The mass here, the molar mass is 23 gram per mole. And then I multiply by number of mole, 1.74 mole. All right? 1.74 mole. The molar mass is 23 gram per mole multiplied by 1.74 mole. So what I have here is 23 times by 1.74. What will that give me? That will give me 40.02. 40.02 is equivalent or almost close to 40 because I can't approximate it to maybe 2 decimal. This is 40.02. So 2 cannot be approximated. So the answer is the mass is going to be 40 grams. So you see, it's the same 40 gram with this. You can try out for this one. You will still get, if you try for the mass will return back to 60. You can do that. Now, let's solve another one. We have that how many moles is in 30 gram. Okay, let's use another gram now. Let's use 10 gram of calcium triisocarbonate 4. How many moles of calcium triisocarbonate 4 is in 10 gram of calcium triisocarbonate 4? So how many moles of calcium triisocarbonate 4 is in 10 grams of calcium triisocarbonate 4? Now, how do you solve this? You are going to, first of all, find the formula, which is a mole is equals to mass over the molar mass. Now, what's the molar mass of this compound? We know that we have calcium triisocarbonate 4. Calcium is 40 gram. Okay. Now, carbon is 12 gram per mole. Now, oxygen is 16 gram per mole. But meanwhile, the total or the composition of this compound contains 40, which is from calcium, carbon 12, and oxygen is 16 times 3. And then this is 40 plus 12 plus 16 times 3, that is 48. If you add all these guys, it's going to give you 100 gram per mole. Now, having said that, we move to the next thing. Next up is to use the formula we have there. Number of mole is equals to mass over molar mass. So what's the mass there? The mass is 10 gram divided by 100 gram per mole. So what should be my answer? 10 gram divided by 100 gram per mole. I have 10 divided by 100 is going to give me 0.1 mole. So I have 0.1 mole as my final answer. Let's do the last one. Let's say we have calculate the amount of mole of H2SO4 in 30 gram of H2SO4. What's the amount of mole? Calculate the amount of mole of H2SO4 in 30 grams of H2SO4. Now, this is very easy. Why we are taking it poco a poco is because you need to understand this thing concept by concept. You see, you need to understand the mole concept of substance of known masses, mole concept of a solution or mole relationship in a solution. You need to understand the mole concept for ideal gas, mole concept for elementary particles. I also need to understand the mole concept for gases at standard temperature and pressure. But we're going to take those lists I gave to you with sequence in in the series of the videos we'll be having. But now let's just focus on the more concept of substance of known masses. Now let's say we have that guy. The answer will become number of mole or mole is equals to mass over molar mass. Now, what's the molar mass of H2SO4? Molar mass of H2SO4. Hydrogen is 1, sulfur is 32, oxygen is 16. Now, what I have is how many hydrogen? I have 2 hydrogen, H2SO4. I have 2 times 1 because we have 2 hydrogen plus 32 plus 16 times 4. Now, this is 2 plus 32. This should be 64. Now, if you add all those together, you should be getting 98. All right, so let's do it. So we will have plus 32 plus 2, 64 plus 32 plus 2, 98. So you should be having 98 gram per mole. All right, 98 gram per mole. All right, now as a chemistry student, you should have the molar mass of H2SO4 at the back of your mind. It's 98 gram per mole. It's usually and always 98 gram per mole. So now, when we have this guy, number of mole, or the mole now, is equals to mass over the molar mass. Now, what's the mass there? The mass we have here is 30 gram. So we're dividing by the molar mass, which is 98 gram per mole. So our answer will become 30 divided by 98. 30 dividing 98 will give me 0.306. So I can approximate to 0.331 mole. All right. So that will be the number of moles of hydrogen tetraoxide 6 acid H2SO4 in 30 gram of H2SO4. Now let's say something. Let's say that the molar mass is given. The molar mass is given to be 98 gram per mole, and then the mass is not given, and then the number of mole is given to be 0.31 mole. How do you find the mass of this compound? You can solve it and drop the answer on the comment section. We'll be glad to see your answer in a nutshell. All right, thank you very much for watching. This is all we've got for you. See you next time. Have a great day.